Today I want to talk about Latin America, a fantastic part of the world, especially for specialty coffee. And why are we talking about it? It's because it's the next edition of our Taster Set and Coffee Club. The main origins for specialty coffee in this region are Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And in South America, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, and Bolivia. Most of the coffee that you drink is actually produced in this part of the world and has been since the mid-18th century, thanks to those resourceful Dutch folk when they brought it over from Africa. And you can expect generally good coffee to be grown all the way down the coastline from Mexico to Bolivia. And the countries in Central America along that narrow band benefit from the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Pacific on the other, get all these wild climates. And for our coffee club and taster set this month, we have chosen 5 origins from this fantastic continent. Coffee number 1 is called Villa Flor. It's a honey process, pink Bourbon, and it's from the Tolima region in Colombia. Thanks to its microclimates and altitudes, Colombia can meet the demands of coffee growing all year round. Interestingly, Colombia is one of the few countries in the world to have a second crop 6 months after the first, called the Mitaca crop. You'll find specialty coffee mostly in the southern regions of Colombia, such as Cacao, Nariño, Huila, and south of Tolima. And some of my favorite coffees have come from Colombia over the years. Coffee number 2 is called Divisadero, and it's another honey process, this time a Pacmara bean from El Salvador. El Salvador is a very small country in Central America, but it has produced its own coffee varieties. A lot of El Salvador's coffee is grown under canopy trees as opposed to out in the open, a method known as shade growing. This actually makes perfect sense because coffee naturally thrives in forests and shaded areas. Coffee number 3 is a natural Catua bean varietal from Costa Rica by Woodgrouse. Costa Rica enjoys typical tropical weather, which is long, hot summers, rainy seasons. However, based on its location and varying levels of altitudes, Costa Rica is a country rich with microclimates and pockets of weather systems. And microlots are predominant in Costa Rica. It's the reason why coffee can be so expensive from this part of the world. And what I love about Costa Rica, often when you see a new process or some new flavors coming, it started in Costa Rica. Coffee number 4, a Bourbon, Typica, and Caturra bean varietal, washed process from Mexico by Wood Street. Personally, I think Mexico is a very underrated origin. I don't find it very often, and when it turns up, I'm always pleasantly surprised. These days, Mexico is actually the 10th largest producer of coffee in the world. It's also the #1 source of certified organic and fair trade coffee. Most smaller farmers are run by indigenous groups. Their agricultural philosophy for centuries actually lines up very well with organic farming. And sometimes there are basically no differences in the farming techniques. Among these regions are departments of Chiapas, Oaxaca, and Veracruz. This one itself comes from the Chiapas region. Coffee number 5 is called El Peñón, and it's a Bourbon, Caturra, Pache bean varietal, honey processed, and it's from the Tenango region in Guatemala. It's by Muttley and Jack. Guatemalan coffee, more recently I've found unusual flavors coming from there, a very exciting origin, I think. Coffee growers can be found across Guatemala. This creates a curious mix of coffee regions that can be each very distinct from the other due to there being very stark differences in altitude, terroir, microclimates between each. You'll also find that coffee grown in Tenango will taste almost entirely different from Atitlan, despite there being not even much distance between them. The most common bean varietals there are Bourbon, Caturra, Cachuay, Typica, and the really huge Marigogaipe and Pacmara coffee bean. Land of the giants. So that concludes this special report on Latina America coffee, and if you want to experience this incredible adventure in a box, then join the coffee club now. We have a lot of exciting adventures ahead because each edition is going to have its own theme. So join now from this link.